the payment of the claims, and I think you got the APVs. Let's see, what is the... So, $327,585.57. Anything you'd like to add to?
Well, we had a $120,000 Anthem payment this time, so that always is a big chunk of change.
What's the Hoosier equipment?
Hoosier equipment, that was that like $30,000 payment?
That's a plane, it's like the second.
Oh, was it
to
the
last
aviation?
one. Yeah, some sort of aviation thing.
Remember they're painting?
Trying to think.
Was that the painting they were doing, or the?
I don't know, because they're doing some work on like a fuel tank and some other stuff. They got grants from the...
Yeah, that's all through the,
FAA.
NRP through the FAA, that's grant money. So what it is it's a reimbursable grant. So we pay it and then you're reimbursed.
Yeah, it was grant. It was the FAA grant. User Services Equipment. That's what you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, there's 17,000, 11,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't remember all the work that they're doing with that, but it's mandated updates by the FAA, so to keep in compliance
And
with
this
their...
was the last draw for that.
It was the last draw.
After this, that money's gone and their projects are over.
Yeah. We just did some striping out there to the city. I think there was some new lighting. There was a fuel tank that was put in the ground. So, I'll have to
Thank you.
ask them for maybe some details. So, anything else? Any questions from the board?
I know that when we shifted from our schedule, we had an extra week in between board meetings, so I thought this was a little heavier because of that. Was there
Right.
anything else in there that?
Well, like I
we should be
said,
paying
the
attention to?
Anthem payment was the big one. Anytime
Right.
our insurance comes due, that's always a bigger meeting. But we did have that extra week in there. There was a skid loader payment in there that comes due once a year through the parks. That was like $34,000. Normal stuff.
Okay.
Just sometimes, we've had a couple of meetings where it's been like 117,000, so
Bound to
pretty
catch
often
up.
you have a big one. Yeah.
Sure.
Any questions from the public? Okay. All right, do I have a motion to accept the payment of the claims?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next, we have blight claims, and we do have Ms. Douglas with us, who is very good at answering any questions. Total amount, $17,006.04, right? And these are landfill bills.
They are
And
to pay all of the landfill bills on the first 5 houses that have come down,
mhm.
and Merit's payment for the demolition of the first house, less the landfill costs.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, is there any questions from the board?
No.
Nope.
Any questions from the public? Do I have a motion to accept the blight claims?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Next, we have the city attorney's report. Anything you'd like?
Yes, at this time I'd ask that the board make a motion to add to the agenda, in that they would be adding the reinstatement of Scott West, and then as one topic, and then the next would be the resignation of Scott West.
Okay. So do I have a motion to add to the agenda the resignation, I'm sorry, the reinstatement and resignation of Scott West to the
So
agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. You guys want to move that, you guys want to do that last or first, or?
Council, what do you want to do?
I'd say we go ahead and just do it first.
Okay.
All right, and we have a letter of resignation from Mr. West, is that?
Yes, I
Correct.
do believe Chief Hawk was going to present that.
Received this letter yesterday in reference to Scott West. Of course, the official notice that I'll be resigning from the Proof Fire Department effective August 7th, 2018. Instead of his termination, we decided to go to reinstatement.
All right.
Today's date.
Okay, and does that, you've been in contact with his attorney, is that correct?
Yes, he is represented by Mr. Edward Merchant. I can never recall the firm that gentleman is with, but Mr. Merchant is Mr. West's attorney, and that letter was provided to us via Mr. Merchant.
And you had spoke to Mr. Merchant about the reinstatement, not, conferring any back payments of
Yes,
pay or anything, benefits?
the agreement is that in lieu of a drawn-out legal procedure and legal matter on both ends, we would file a motion, or we would reinstate Mr. West with no back pay, no back benefits, no back perf or
Yeah,
Any-
payments to retirement or anything like that?
right, no contributions, and in consideration of us doing that, he would file his letter of resignation, which we have received, and contingent on us reinstating him, that letter of our resignation will be submitted simultaneously.
Okay. So just that the public understands the reason of reinstating so that he can resign. It allows the city to move beyond this without the worry of, as the council said, a protracted legal battles and whatnot. This is something that Scott and Mr. West and his attorney requested. This wasn't a request by the city. This is something that Mr. West would like to see done according to his attorney, and the city sees a way of being done with this once and for all. So, I don't know.
Right.
Anything else you'd like to add?
And say, we're dealing with another matter, former police officer, yeah, that was
It was terminated 3 years ago.
Terminated 3 years ago, and that's still going through the legal procedures. And
Right.
we've had orders from judges, but appeals and whatnot, and
Right.
it's hard telling when that's going to be resolved.
Yeah.
That's 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
We feel 100% safe in the actions that we have taken, the fire department, the Board of Works, and the city in general, and we feel like we've complied with any and all state statutes, local ordinances, whatever we needed to do to terminate Mr. West appropriately. However, being in the world we live in today, people sue for anything and everything.
Yeah.
And in order to avoid any costly
Frivolous.
frivolous litigation, to keep our city employees from being tied up going through that process, because it does take time to litigate, it does take cost to litigate, and we see this as a way to mitigate our costs down the road.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I can read the letter in full if you like. Basically, it
Sure.
says, notice of Resignation. Dear Chief Hawk, please accept this letter as my official notice that I will be resigning from the Peru Fire Department effective August the 7th, 2018. Scott West.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board for Chief or Attorney?
No.
I don't think so.
Is there any questions or comment from the public? Denise?
Why was rehabilitation not offered to Mr. West prior to termination?
There was no discussion or request for rehabilitation.
Does he have a pension that's, I mean, is he vested with pension at this time?
No, public safety officers are vested at 20 years,
Okay, and he has how much time?
right at 10. Yeah.
Was he also an employee of the municipal golf course, and was he terminated from that position?
Tish, do you remember, I know that he applied to work at the golf course, and I don't know that that was,
It was decided to hire him at the golf course. He came in with the golf course department head, Gary, and they both said that he would like to work up there part-time and asked me if that would happen, if it could happen. So I had to do some investigating because I didn't know if dual employment was an issue, that sort of thing. I didn't know if him working full-time for the fire department and then taking on another part-time position with the city would force us to pay him an overtime status. So there was some research to do there, and I did that. Anytime you're working with public safety employees, they seem to have their own set of rules. So because he was a public safety employee, he was allowed to work in that second position for the same company. So he was hired. He actually started a day or two before I even realized that Gary had hired him. And human resources is always the last to know.
Sure.
I'm sure you know.
Absolutely.
So he had started like 2 days before I was even aware that he had been hired. And that was right around the time that everything happened. And then from there, I believe he was terminated.
Okay. Does this agreement then cover that termination as well? Or does he maintain legal rights to sue the city over that termination?
as far as the golf attendant position, I mean, it's not been something that's been part of this discussion. Honestly, I forgot that he was ever working up there, so.
From just thinking about the situation, I believe I know Indiana's an at-will employment state, and that is not a public safety position, so you can be terminated with or without cause at any time in those at-will positions. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I would have to double-check though, but that should be an at-will position.
Okay. Just curious.
Mayor, I believe he was terminated to the golf course long before this ever happened.
I'm not even sure about the
Yeah.
timing. Yes.
Yeah.
All I know, the only thing that I truly remember about it is being surprised that he had been working a couple days before I even found out. I don't know why that surprises me anymore, but it did. But I wasn't sure if the timing was lining up there or not. Yeah.
I have another question. Actually, I have a couple. Prior to his termination, Indiana law provides that public safety employees, police, fire, that are accused of crimes can be suspended with or without pay until the determination of guilt is found on their court case, on their criminal case.
Mhm.
Why wasn't that done in this case? What was the rush to terminate his employment before he had his day?
But there wasn't a rush to terminate. And I don't know which parts of the investigation is public or what isn't public, but there was comments made in his conversations with the state police, and Mr. West's own words describing the use and other actions that I know I felt like, and I assume that the board felt like was grounds for termination.
there have been accusations made on social media, for what they're worth,
Every day.
that other city employees have been in similar situation and not faced like consequences. So I'm asking, I know that per the board, or per the city policy, any level of discipline above a written reprimand, I believe, requires the board to be notified.
Right.
To your knowledge, has any employee of the city during your administration been either arrested or charged with a misdemeanor or felony that was not suspended?
There have been no employees besides Mr. West I'm aware of.
Okay. And then on Monday, we had talked, Peru, Indiana Today had talked with you regarding the 2 certified letters. And those letters, you had indicated you didn't have knowledge of them, or they weren't received from the city?
No, I don't know of the 2 certified letters.
Okay. There were 2 certified letters. They were provided to us by Mr. West,
Okay.
with receipts included from the city employees who signed for those letters. Is there a reason why you weren't aware of those, or they were withheld?
Can I jump in there?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I read your article. It was well written.
Thank you.
And I clicked the links and looked at all of the exhibits that you had in there, and I saw that there was a receipt signed by Lori, that is my deputy. I gave you, when you asked for all of the information, I gave you every single thing that I had in the file. So there was no attempt on holding back any
And
information.
please understand, I'm not accusing.
No.
I'm just
no.
trying to find out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. When I saw that signed certified receipt, that surprised me as well, because I hadn't seen a certified envelope. Now, if you're asking, did you receive a certified letter, if I don't have an envelope with the letter, I don't know that it was received certified or not.
Okay.
So, was one received certified? Maybe. There must have been, because I saw your exhibit.
Right.
But if the envelope was thrown away, I have no idea if it was a certified letter or not.
Okay.
All I did was gave you every single piece of paper,
Right, and I-
communication and things like
Right.
that. I know the one, Mr. West had come in and hand-delivered
Right.
that you received.
Right.
So-
And I very much appreciate both the mayor and your providing those documents. You were great to provide them. You emailed them. You didn't have us come in and pick them up or anything like that. So I appreciate the service from the city on that. I'm just, in a controversial situation that any termination of a public safety employee would bring, it smacks of a possibility of withholding information. And I was just, do you think that's a concern? Do you think people,
Is it a concern for me? Is there a concern for the public that there's?
concern for the public that information was not released?
So, I mean, the file that we sent you is everything that we have. Like Tish said, if there's something that was sent as certified mail and it was opened and given to us, then there's no way to know that that was certified mail.
But those letters weren't included.
What
I
were,
didn't get those from you guys. I asked for the letters and didn't get them.
okay, what was the letter that was sent certified? What was it?
He had 2 requests for hearings.
Mm-hmm.
The letter indicated that the board had met in an executive session and had encouraged him to resign, per a letter from Chief Hawk, I believe, to the board and Mr. West summarizing what took place in that executive session. And he responded to that saying that he wanted a public hearing in his letters. And then he got evidently a notification from the city about one of the hearings and sent another letter or was told that you guys hadn't received the first letter that was sent to the fire department. And I believe he conversed with the city attorney, and then another letter was sent a couple of days later.
So you're saying that the letter that was sent by certified mail was a request for an appeal before he was fired?
Request for appeal on actions taken against his employment is what it said.
Before or after he was fired?
Before.
Okay. Which is the crux of the issue. You can't do an appeal on an action that hasn't taken yet. And that was explained to Mr. West too, on different occasions.
And I appreciate you explaining it to me, so we're all clear. And I want to apologize to the mayor and to City Clerk Sadi, because it was not our intention to imply that you had violated open door laws. We simply put that information in because we weren't able to locate the notice of the meeting. I'm aware now from you where the notices are posted, and I will make a correction on that this evening in our article.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. West?
Mayor, I'd just like to add that he did not request an appeal in those two letters. One was dated May 16th, the other May 22nd. What he requested was the hearing for the statute, the public hearing, not an appeal. So just to clarify, that was not an appeal.
He wanted a hearing on what statute?
Well, 38 point,
Right.
whatever that statute number is, I don't have it on the top of my head, but the statute said that after any disciplinary action, you're entitled to a hearing. So he wasn't appealing the decision, he was just simply asking for a hearing.
Right, which that hearing, which, yes, he has the right to appeal that within, I think, 10 days after a decision by the board is made. Technically, if you read the statute in its entirety, that should be filed in the Superior Circuit Court of the county in which the city or municipality is located. We treated this because Scott had made the appeal to us, and it would have been, by the time we were able to actually respond to it, it would have been outside the 10 days of the court. We set it for an appeals hearing here, just the courtesy of doing such. I'm not sure if he was, because when you file for that hearing, it is an appeals hearing because the action has already been taken at that point. In which I'm not sure what you mean by he wasn't filing for an appeal, though.
Regardless, and I think the appeal that you're referring to, that you filed with the court, is later on in termination proceedings. I don't think it's the earlier disciplinary action.
Right, well, once he's terminated, then that's when
Right,
the appeal would have to go.
I'm
Okay.
talking about prior to termination. The two letters were May 16th and May 22nd. The termination wasn't made until June the 1st. So
Okay.
he was requesting a hearing on the unpaid administrative leave portion. But
Okay.
anyway, it's kind of
I-
neither here nor there. Yeah.
Right, and that's the first, that it's, the unpaid administrative leave part has come to my attention,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, and his disappointment was he didn't get a response to either one of those two letters. And I understand what Tisha's saying about not knowing it was certified if you didn't see the envelope, but I would have thought that a lawyer or somebody in the office would have said, hey, we received this certified, and passed it up the ranks wherever it should have gone.
I was very surprised when I
Yeah.
saw that it had been signed for by one of my deputies on his article. That's the first I'd seen it.
But I understand how you didn't
Right.
recognize it.
but I do know, the chief had reached out to Scott via phone call, and I know I believe he went by his house, if I'm not mistaken, or another, I'm trying to think what a paid position with the fire department. Another officer down with the fire department paid a visit to him, and
I think Dean,
I'm not sure who it would have been, but someone, I believe, went to his house, tried to contact him there,
Right.
phone conversations, and none of those were returned. So when those letters were received, I know there was a response to him. It might not have been in writing, but I know he was reached out to it, which there was definitely a breakdown of communication between Scott and the city and Scott as well at various times, and just one of those things.
Is there any other questions, comment from the public? Okay. Anything else from the board?
I just Mr. West has been an agenda item on our Board of Works at least twice, and we haven't seen him yet, and so I just wanted to put out there that we've been willing to have a public conversation with him several times and haven't had the opportunity yet.
I know one time it was put on the agenda, but nothing was said, and then another time it wasn't on the agenda, and there was discussion, so there's been some confusion all along.
I know he had requested the, one of the meetings, and we had sent our letter to him, or response to him indicating when it would be, and that's when the action was taken to terminate, and he did not appear at that hearing. And then we had the letter to appeal that, more or less, and that was set, and then when we set that, he signed for it the day after we had hoped he had signed for it, so we had missed that date, so we had to then reschedule that hearing, which
Right.
just
I will say this. Of everything that's been discussed around this case, it has been, was the process fair for Mr. West? Was a due process done? The conversation is never centered around did he or did he not do it. I think it's clear what has happened, and I think that for the city to look any employee in the eye and say, we expect certain standards of you, and we're not going to turn a blind eye, regardless of whether we like you, or if they're, you've done a great job in the past. If you break the rules, we have to follow through the rules that we've set for everybody. And I have yet to hear somebody say he didn't break the rules.
Along that line, I'd like to remind you, I think I did once before in email, 11 presidents have smoked pot, marijuana. The last 4, Bush, Clinton, Obama, well, those 3, and probably Trump, I don't know, I've never seen it verified, but I wouldn't be surprised. But Bush, Clinton, and Obama smoked pot, admittedly, were twice elected. So public opinion apparently doesn't hold a lot of water with regards to smoking a little pot.
my comment to that would be, they're not public safety employees.
No, they're just responsible for the entire country. They're the commander-in-chief. So I'd say that makes them a very strong public safety person.
But were they using that at the time of their presidency? Is the question you'd ask then next.
And it doesn't matter.
No.
Right.
It doesn't matter at all.
On a point of order on that, we have
Yeah.
2 agenda items on the agenda that I think, I appreciate that we've been able to have some discourse, but I also know that it was in the spirit of having this finite. So
Right.
I would like to
Yeah.
call a motion to address these agenda items, to accept his resignation and his reinstatement.
Except-
Council, how do you want to word that?
Motion to accept, or motion to approve the reinstatement of Mr. West with no back pay or benefits, and then, once that is voted on, then motion to accept the resignation of Mr. West.
So, do I have a motion to accept the reinstatement of Scott West with no back pay, no benefits, and with the anticipation of his resignation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, do I have a motion to accept Scott West's letter of resignation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Both motions passed. We'll move on to the next item. New business, approve Fire Chief Eric Hawk with promotion for Top Bell. Chief?
Yeah, Peru Fire Department Pension Board is recommending the hiring of Josh Hall. He will replace
sorry.
Roger Walker. Josh has cleared all necessary steps to be considered a probationary firefighter, and he's currently enrolled in EMT class. His effective date will be August the 9th, and he'll serve a 1-year probationary period to be considered for permanent status, and he'll be replacing Roger Walker, who just retired with us yesterday with 32 years on him.
Yeah. Mr. Hall, it's nice to meet you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Sorry, I misspoke when I said it's, the first thing we're doing was the promotion, but we're doing the hire.
I've got
I'm
both
sorry.
here,
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Is there any questions from the board for either Mr. Hall or Chief Hawk?
Nope.
Chief, any concerns about Mr. Hall?
It's going to be a great asset to Peru Fire. He's got a long road ahead of him. He's currently enrolled in the EMT class now, correct?
Yeah, well, I just recently graduated, like,
Okay.
a week.
So that's a great access to it, because we don't have to put him through that. So they'll do his Fire 1 and 2, which will start in the fall and continue through the winter months. In the springtime, he'll have all his recommendations in as far as everything is EMT, his Fire 1 and 2, and he'll be able to get all his probationary status.
Mr. Hall, you from around Miami County, or?
Yes, I live out, I think, currently.
Okay.
Around this area, yeah.
Good. Glad we can retain some good people.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any question, comment from the public?
Congratulations.
Just a second.
He said public, I think.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept Chief Hawk's recommendation to hire Josh Hall?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Sorry, I was premature.
Stole my thunder.
All right.
Glad to have you.
So you want to move to the recommendation for promotion then?
Correct. The promotion then will be for Roger Walker's position as lieutenant out at our Station 2. Pat Bell, which is already at the 2s, will be replacing him as a lieutenant.
Okay. All right. Pat's not here tonight, is he?
No, Pat's on vacation this week out of the state, so. sorry about
Gotcha.
that.
Okay. Any questions or comment from the board? Not to put you on the spot, Chief, do you know how long Mr. Bell's been a firefighter?
Approximately 25 years.
25?
He hired in after or before myself, so between 24 and 25 years.
Okay. All right. Any question or comment from the public? Anything from the board? Do I have a motion to accept Chief Hawk's recommendation for promotion of Pat Bell from private to lieutenant?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Next, it looks like we have Chief Meeks. You have a recommendation for a hire as well. Chief, you had some excitement today.
My knee's hurting a little bit from running.
I saw you out of the office window.
Did you skip over me, or was it just a red streak?
There was a gray streak before you.
I know, that's what I heard. The fellow may not have done.
Yeah.
At Mike's age, foot pursuit?
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Matt Feller was right behind the guy when I saw him running across.
Had to put my pencil down and put my coffee down and take off.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a bit of a show from the second story there. So,
That's funny.
glad to see that it all seemed to have turned out okay and everybody's safe.
Yes.
Good.
Guys did a good job.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Thank you. All right, so we have Andrew, is it Duran?
Duran.
Duran?
Duran, right?
Okay.
Okay.
And you're still okay with this after today?
Where's that why?
Yeah, this is Andrew Duran. Andrew is a 2009 graduate of Taylor High School, and he comes to us with 5 years of law enforcement experience, and he also has a bachelor's degree as well. So,
Oh, awesome.
when we set up here, we actually hold our interviews here. The pension board sits there. He sits down here lonely by himself. we were ecstatic. It's not very often you get a candidate that has these type of qualifications that comes to us with law enforcement experience. He's already graduated from the academy. So when you talk about hiring a new officer, usually you look at 29 weeks to put that officer on the street between field training officers and with the academy. We're going to look at an accelerated program with him, so we're looking at probably 8 to 10 weeks versus the 29.
Wow.
So that's exciting as well. Another plus with Andrew is his wife is also in law enforcement as well. So, sometimes when people step into law enforcement, I know that it's a little bit of a scary situation for the family, but knowing that she's a part of that and that she's supportive is a major bonus as well coming in. So anyways, he was voted on unanimously by the pension board. Like I said, we were excited. Usually we're optimistic. This time we're optimistic and excited because of everything that he brings to the table with him. He has passed the public safety medical exam, the psychological, and the physical exam down there, so we're just awaiting his PERF approval as well. And so do you guys have any questions about PERF? And I don't know if we've ever talked about that before or not, how that works. If the board members have any questions about that, either of you?
That's a broad question. I think I understand enough.
Okay. Well, I can do it. It's fairly quick. Usually when you send an applicant down, they have to pass the psychological exam, they have to pass the physical exam. And what that does, they then tell us, okay, he passed those. Well, in order for them to enroll into PERF, which is our Public Employee Retirement Fund, they have to then take all that paperwork from the psychologist and from the doctor and say, okay, it looks like he's good to go. He doesn't have any exclusions, so he doesn't have any prior knee injuries that may cause him to go on disability prior to or somewhere during his career. So they look at everything within that and they say, okay, this guy looks like he's on the up and up. He's physically strong, he's mentally strong, and he's good to go. So, but if they look at that, or let's say it comes back from the psychologist that he's had some issues in the past, or from the doctor, like I said, maybe he's had a broken arm, they may still allow us to hire him, but there'll be an exclusion to say, okay, if he injures that knee again, then he can't claim disability because that's a prior injury coming into this hiring process. So he comes through that whole thing clean, though, and that's kind of what we're waiting on. We're just waiting on their approval, and I have zero doubt that they will approve him, but it's a process that we have to go through. To give you a nutshell what we're waiting for. So as you see then, I'm just kind of waiting, contingent upon the approval of the Public Employee Retirement Fund, and we're hoping to hire him by August 15. That's our goal.
And where did you serve before?
I was with IU, Kokomo Police, Howard County.
Okay, nice.
Did you move here, or are you still in Kokomo? So
I
you,
don't live in the city, but I live over by Mississippi.
okay.
Nope. I was gonna ask you, Chief, if you had any concerns, but you just told us all this good stuff. Do you have any concerns?
Zero concerns.
Okay.
Is there any question or comment from the public?
This time.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept Chief Meek's recommendation to hire Andrew Duran? Duran, I'm sorry.
Duran, that's
Duran,
all right.
okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Glad to have
congratulations.
you.
Thank you, Board.
All right, next we have a request from Mike Klingeman and Rob Sotero, thank you, of Clowntown Cycles with a request for a road closure. It says in the notes here that they did not give us a date or a time. Is that still?
There was no date and time on the request. I found the request in my mailbox. There was a phone number for the business. I called the phone number 3 different times and didn't get an answer, so.
Okay.
I don't even know if they know that they're on the agenda tonight. They
Gotcha.
requested this date, but I couldn't call them. I never got a hold of them to confirm and to get those dates and times.
Okay. I guess we can either table it or deny
To
it.
try to reach them. I'll just get in my car and run over there tomorrow or something. They may be having phone trouble, honestly.
Right.
Because I know that I've been calling them during business hours and I just haven't, or else they're on the showroom or, yeah, not sure.
Okay. What would the board like to do? You guys want to just table it?
Yeah, table it.
This
Any
isn't
further
something for this
information?
coming Saturday, is it?
I don't know.
Chief, you know, didn't you just
Don't know.
speak to him about something as far as an entertainment
I
permit?
did. He was checking with the state on that. I checked with state, and Mr. Stroll's going to get back with in reference to having an entertainment permit.
Do you know when that event was for?
I don't remember if he even told me the date. of the
Okay.
event.
Because I'm assuming it's probably the same event, I just would hate for it to be this Saturday.
I know that they've had this event in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, but without a date,
dates.
yeah.
Well, sure, and that's unfortunate, but that,
I believe we have plenty of time because we talked about the state coming in and he had even mentioned that they had time to get it. So I think we're looking maybe in October or somewhere
Oh,
around
okay.
there, September, late September.
Okay. Okay. So then do I have a motion to table the request from Clowntown Cycles?
so moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion's tabled. Lastly, we have the bids to be open for demolition of 27 Madison Avenue and 466 Washington Avenue. And these demolitions will be through the Unsafe Building Fund, which is city funds.
It looks like we have 3 different companies bidding. If you want to fill in the top yellow part of your bid sheets. We have Pottle Services, we have Ames, and I'm not sure who this is, I'll have to open it.
Should be Merritt.
Merit?
Should be Merritt.
Merritt, okay. Well, then let's go back and start with Pottle. We are bidding on 466 Washington Street and 27 Madison Street.
And I know 27 Madison is a trailer, right? Oh, I guess it's written on here.
Yeah.
And 466 is just a traditional home,
House and a garage.
house and a garage? Okay.
Okay, from Pottle Services, the bid for 466 Washington Street is $8,800. I do that all the time. And 27 Madison Street is $2,670. Next, we'll go on to Ames. Did it again. Oh my gosh, I pulled off the bottom. Okay. 466 East Washington Avenue, $7,840.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, that was for 466 Washington for $7,840. And 27 Madison for $3,800. This is for Merritt, onto Merritt. 27 Madison Avenue, $6,500. And 466 East Washington, $9,500. And that's all of the bids.
Okay, so, looks like we have one low bid with Cottle and one low bid with Ames. The trailer on 27 Madison has a low bid with Cottle at $2,670, and 466 Washington, Ames has a low bid with $7,840. Everybody confirm? Okay. So, I would assume those are the 2 bids that we are going with. Is that the board's feelings on that?
I don't see any problems.
Okay.
Brenda, you don't have any issues with any of it?
I'm really surprised at the trailer. I've got another one coming out by a different contractor for $1,000 because they're gonna scrap out the metal.
That's kind of what I thought too.
So,
Yeah.
still trying to catch my breath. And sadly, that that contractor didn't throw a bid in here, so,
Is that pulling off the foundation from the trailer too, though?
no.
Or is that just wheeling the trailer off the lot?
It's just taking the trailer out and getting everything. Actually, this one is a little different, so I guess I should digress a bit. There is a large tree that's kind of attached to this trailer now. So I believe part of this increase could be because they're gonna have to take that tree out. And it's about 5 foot in diameter.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
So I think.
Makes more sense.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
What happens with the foundation that's under it?
I will have to defer to Mr. Stanton on whether or not, sometimes with garages, we'll let the pad stay. But this trailer has been there for decades. I'm not even sure that there really is anything other than maybe a couple runners underneath. So I'll have to look further into that.
Yeah, I think on the picture that I saw that it's got skirting and everything, you can't really tell what it's sitting on. So, Cobble got a lot of our demolition bids last time, didn't they? Or they got some of them last time.
They did.
And they're a newer company.
Tish, could you add those bids up?
Did I add them up?
Yeah, as opposed to separating them if it's cheaper to do them
I can do that real quick.
together.
It looks like Cottle is 11,470 and Ames is 11,640.
Who did that? You did not just do that in your head. Just
No, I did that previously. I'm not that quick.
show off.
Yeah, so,
Okay, we're good.
yeah,
Yeah, Cottle actually got four bids the last time, one of which we've actually pulled because we want to see if we can do something different. That's 88 Ewing.
right.
But they successfully tore down 69 North Wayne, 344 Columbia, 8060 Franklin. Oh, they did 4, and 185 West 2nd, all of which had been on our books for quite a while with code enforcement violations and unsafe building aspects, so.
And we haven't had any issue with the ones they've
No
done?
issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
They've done a great job, and that was the first round that they had ever done with us.
Right. And I know Ames has historically done a lot of demolitions for the city too,
They
so,
just completed one last week.
yeah, okay. Is there any other questions from the board?
Not at this time, I don't think so.
Okay. Is there any question or comment from the public? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept Cottle's bid for 27 Madison and Ames' bid for 466 Washington?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the motion passes. Is there anything else come before the board? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wooster?
Yes, thank you very much. So I want to say thank you first to Tish for providing me with the information on the statute for the Department of Parks and Recreation. At the last meeting, I had asked about the statute because I had expressed previous interest on being on the park board. And was unable, it had come to my attention that there was an issue possibly with my address. I live at 1050 West 6th Street. I'm like a half a block from city limits.
Right.
So there was an issue with that. In my research, I wasn't able to find anything that stated specifically that a person wanting to be on the Parks Board had to be within city limits. From what I'm reading in the statute right here, it's still very vague. It does not indicate, while the park is a municipality, it does not indicate that one, it just says that,
Well, it's not in the parks part of the Indiana statute. It's in the General Assembly, or not the General Assembly, but it's in the general rules of how all boards are done. So it's not actually in the parks.
Okay.
It says any, and I have to double check the exact language coming off the top of my head, but any state statute board, which the Parks Board is, they have to live within the, I don't know how they technically word it, but basically you have to live within the district that you're governing over.
okay, so I'm within the 2 2-mile jurisdiction of the city.
Zoning jurisdiction, but the 2-mile zoning doesn't have anything to do with. So the way to think about it might be, your tax dollars go to the county, not the city. So your tax dollars don't pay for the parks. So a decision that you might make on the Parks Board isn't affecting your actual tax dollars.
I see, okay.
So-
That makes sense, that makes sense. I guess my next question would be then, since I already know the answer to the previous question I was going to initially ask, so my next question is there an opportunity? Because I've had this interest since my husband and I mean, other than 4 years that we went through a midlife crisis and moved to Minneapolis, I've been a lifelong resident of Peru, Indiana.
Mhm.
But it was up there that gave me a wonderful idea for this beautiful park that we have.
Mhm.
And is there any way that I can act in some capacity within that Parks Board? Maybe not official, and
right.
something.
Right, and, you know, I think Kent Workman's a great example of somebody that's, when he started the Easter egg hunt and some other activities at the parks, that was before his time on the Parks Board, and he continued that after his time on the Parks Board. So there's nothing that it would exclude you from taking any, you know, participation that you could come up with, well, as long as it's legal.
Oh, it's all legal.
Right.
And that goes back to like when I did the skate park. I had nothing to do with the city at all at that point in time. I just went and asked for permission from the Parks Board to work with them on getting it built. So, and they were just kind of overseeing it. They really didn't have any hands in it. They were just there making sure we did it the way we had said we were going to do it. But yeah, they allowed us to do the skate park without any question.
Basically, it was an idea that you have or something that would benefit the
Yep,
community.
and just presented that to the park board, and they're like, yep, here, we agreed to give you this spot. And then we presented them with our plan of how we wanted to do it, and then they approved it, and we built it.
I mean, I will have to say I'm seriously disappointed because I'm half a block.
Right. Right.
Half a block.
Yeah, no, and trust me, I would be, it would be a relief to have somebody with your enthusiasm for the parks to be able to point you to the board. I would absolutely welcome you on the board if that was a possibility.
So if I moved my trailer.
Yeah, what?
No, I'm just, but I appreciate it. It was also very vague,
Mhm.
and I thought, oh, are you kidding me? I have this idea, and, you know, I'm
Right.
bound by a half a block.
Yeah,
I
right.
think that's amazing, Ken.
And like Steve said, it by no means is a barrier for you to, you know, continue the vision.
Okay.
Mr. West?
Just a quick comment on that. I was on the park board for 12 years.
Mhm.
I was not a resident of the city, and I always felt uneasy, but I was on the school board, and
Right,
the statute required the park board to consist of a school board member.
right,
I always felt a little uneasy being on there and not paying city taxes. Mark Hall did the same thing. He lived up in River Estates, and
right,
Dr. Quinn
right.
was also outside the city, so I don't know.
Was it because they were on the school board first?
Yeah, and also the school board liaison is technically a liaison position on the board too, so,
Mark was not on the school board.
oh,
I don't know why that worked out, but he was good at it, so it worked. And I have to commend Steve with what he did with skate park. That was great.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
How many openings are there on the board?
we actually just filled, somebody accepted my request for them to serve on it yesterday, so we did actually yesterday. Allison, she is on, what's that?
Allison Paul?
Paul, yes, thank you. And she's on the library board also.
Okay, so there are no openings at this time?
Right, they're all filled now.
Okay.
Well, and she's actually getting sworn in, I think, this Friday.
Mhm.
So technically this Friday, all positions will be filled.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, by the way.
Yep.
Thank you for your enthusiasm, and anyone can come to these public meetings and get on the agenda and have an agenda item and work to make that happen. So,
And most of the times,
Yeah.
they're willing to accept your work. It's something they don't have to do. So you get something good in place that they buy into, then you shouldn't have any issues at all.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right, Is there anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.